Attention on deck!
Hi everybody, Army P here for ExploreMinute.net, and welcome back to our Let's Try of Stellaris with the new DLC Leviathans installed. Now from our last episode that we had, I've actually advanced about 25 years. So the entire landscape, or should say spacescape, galactic landscape, has changed dramatically in those 25 years. Not only have I been able to expand a little bit more, but I've also been able to join that federation that I've always wanted to. I'm a part of the Auspicious Entente. And we have several different races that are currently under consideration, including the custom-made Valtart Kingdom of Space Butterflies and the Hydrani, which are the Hydrani Coalition are currently under consideration to joining. So I find that the whole mechanic of federations to be much easier in this patch 1.3 than it was in 1.2. It became a very big chore, but now if you're like-minded and you have the ability to give different races the chance to build up trust with that consideration, basically a federation consideration associate, it's actually not a bad mechanic, and I really enjoy it. So as it stands right now, we're in pretty good shape. Now that being said, the Empire of the Yolak have been a pain in my side. Not only have their border expansions, as you can see here in the blue, have been very aggressive, they've actually cut me off entirely in this region of space. My lone planet here, Murak, is actually cut off from the rest of my empire. So I may have to, see what our options are in terms of, potentially having some type of engagement with this spacefaring giant bird, purple-eyed MOF. He doesn't like me, but I'm not really concerned about that because of relative power. He's not that impressive. I've just actually had a large engagement with cleaning up some of the pirates in a different area. You'll probably notice that from the last video where I focused it almost entirely on that engagement. So I'm currently building my fleet up. But even still, he says that his fleet size is comparative to mine, and that's mine alone, not the Federation's. And my Federation borders them on their western flank and even deeper over here. The only unfortunate part is my Federation's made up of generally pacifists. So even if I decided to, let's say, declare war, let's say I wanted to humiliate them. Oh, they would both go for that. I was actually kind of shocked. I didn't really try that off camera. I wasn't too sure. What if I wanted to secede a planet? Yeah, so seceding a planet, they don't want to do that. But if I decided to say, let's say, stop the atrocities, demand open borders, and humiliate them, they'd be up for that with a war score of 40. So it's something that I actually might consider moving forward, because you can see now without open borders, this has crippled me. Especially right here, you can see here that some Garethium ore, 2 locations of it, which give me not only, if you remember the changes in 1.3 when it comes to strategic resources, you only need 1 strategic resource to give an empire-wide bonus. The additional one here he could possibly trade. Not that anybody's actually trading with them, but it would have been nice to have to put that in the bargaining table, because the trading in this game post 1.3 is far smoother and much easier than it was in 1.2. So in my lackadaisy attitude, unfortunately I didn't pay attention to just how aggressive his borders were going. So that being said, so what I'm doing right now besides building my fleet is, maybe before I do that, so it looks like here you'll see the Hydrani Coalition is actually at war with United Lyrate Worlds. They're not a very nice race. They don't think very highly of us or the Federation, but they're currently at war. And what I did was I actually paid a handsome sum of energy credits and minerals with the Hydrani Coalition to have active sensor links. So I get to, this is one of the cool things about the game, and I really like that. An active sensor link, what it'll do, it'll show you all of the different fleets that he has in the entire system. So you can see here that he's got his first Void Skulkers fleet of total size of 3,150 parked into Lydrate space. So I'm guessing that the war is actually going quite well for him. In fact, we could actually just check that right out right now. This is kind of a toolbar tip, this in case you didn't know. You can see here he's at war. You can see he's got a war score of 3. So you can actually kind of gauge it through this diplomacy UI window to know exactly how the war is going. I haven't seen too many large engagements. I've seen some ships going in and out, but kind of curious how it's going to go. So he's got a... It looks like he's probably going to mop up. As soon as I unpause, he's probably going to mop up this entire area here. Oh no, he's on his move. He's on the move. Needless to say, that is the first war that I'm aware of that's broke off, that's sizable locations. The Fallen Empires have just been sitting there doing what the Fallen Empires typically do, just sitting back and not doing much. This giant space fungus seems to be just as dismissive as he was at the beginning game when we got him. But that being said, we're only 65 years into this game, so there's a lot left to go. Now for me personally, I've been doing a little bit of research looking at the old gods. We found a shrine of the old gods after the discovery of a mysterious asteroid shrine of the untold. Top scientists have proposed there might be an additional shrines dedicated to our, or what we believe to be our, Pantheon in the neighboring system. So I'm not too sure. I've actually never done this quest line either, so I'm not too sure if this is a new quest line. Basically, so far it's just asked me to go and discover different asteroids that are generally in my space and to discover them. Let's see what different types of treasures unhold in terms of valuable information. Yeah, besides that, we've been kind of just kicking around and expanding and making friends with everybody. That's another thing that we've been doing. In terms of our treasury, we're doing pretty good, and all of our planets are also doing good well and being decently developed. Now, one thing I actually did want to talk about is I've been, because I haven't been focusing on war and there hasn't been any breakouts because I've been in this federation, I have been paying close attention to the different enclaves. Now this enclave is called, I'm guessing Zuracorp? Zuracorp? Anyway, I've been building up different opinions with them, increasing my opinions. You do that by trading for minerals, or if you want, you can trade for energy credits using the appropriate. You're never going to get a good exchange rate with this. You'll notice here that you're getting a 2-to-1, and doesn't matter. That hasn't seemed to change with my opinion going up on them. So you could actually get a much better rate by negotiating with different spacefaring races. But the reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted my opinion of them at 54, because I will go into the main screen here and it says I'm interested in exchanging for a strategic resource. Well, that's great because I needed an opinion modifier of plus 50 to be able to complete that. So I'm interested in buying some some Zuragel. Zuragel. Anyway, for 1,000 energy credits and an opinion of plus 20, it'll give me 1 Zuragel, and it grants me habitability of plus 5, so an empire-wide bonus for just 1,000 credits. Now, if you'll notice, if you remember from probably playing from Stellaris 1.0 and on, energy credits, as long as you had a large floating balance above whatever you needed to keep your empire and fleet running, it just pooled up. And there was times where I remember having plus 400, 500, 600 energy per turn, or even higher, and nothing to do with it. I would try to trade it off as much as I could to, or even give it away to different spacefaring races just to increase their opinion of me. There was nothing really I could do. The only thing that I might want to do is keep my cap around 5,000. So if I'm moving 5 or 6 large fleets away from space dock at the same time, I'll notice my energy per turn, of course, will go down because it's not being it's out at every time a fleet's out of space dock, it requires more energy. Sidebar to that, it actually seems to be less in this game and in 1.3 than it was in 1.2. I can move a pretty sizable fleet. Notice that my energy or credits per turn don't go down as drastically. But now with the different Enclave curators, you're able to use it to buy something, incredibly valuable. So for 1,000 credits, I've already got plus 23 per turn, and a fleet's actually, if you can see here, my main military fleet isn't even in space dock yet. So he's out and about, and my space credit or my energy credits are still in the plus. So I'm going to purchase that gel. And it looks like we got a disclaimer here. That's Zuroclope's way. The freighters will begin deliveries immediately. By purchasing this product, you agree that Zuroclope cannot be held responsible for any adverse effects that may result in its use, including, and not limited to, skin irritation, psychotic episodes, ocular discoloration, aggressive mutations, increased colonist suicide rates, precognitive trances, biosphere depletion, dangerous Straglet production, micro black hole generation, grain elevator explosions, societal collapse, mass extinction events, unexpected supernova detonations, the complete or partial destruction of a star nation, sudden gamma ray bursts, time travel paradoxes, vacuum metastability events, universal entropy, the collapse of the space-time continuum. Oh, I'm glad that they had a sense of humor when they wrote that. That's actually quite funny. Yeah, sure. I don't give. I want to see the complete collapse of the space-time continuum, because I want my race of the Yolan giant friendly, starfish people to meet Q from Star Trek, because he literally threatened about. He actually threatened about the space-time continuum falling apart on several different occasions. Okay, I'm going to conglomerate my fleets here because they have been a little bit all over the place for the time being. Perfect. And everything goes back. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So let's move forward and see if anything interesting. Okay, we got the Old Gods Shrine to the Undaunted. Okay, after days of activities, we can best be termed fiddling. Science Officer Gruum has retrieved doctrine from the Undaunted, a textile scroll coated in a sturdy plastic polymer. Interesting. So, even though this might be a new quest line, it hasn't been terribly rewarding. It's kind of been the best thing you could possibly call it is a fetch quest. Go. Has entered the system, and its crew report that a stellar object not unlike the shrine to the Untold is indeed orbiting the star. Okay, well, let's check that out, see what we have. Okay, while we're questing on that, my fleet's kind of getting together. I got 75. Let's see, I've currently got a couple ships in this shipyard that are on their way. Just do some manual upgrading here. Got one Corvette being built. So that's good. I want to keep under my fleet limit for the time being. Kind of curious. I think what we might do is, after this quest line of that I'm currently doing with the shrines to the Old God, I really hope this ends up being kind of something interesting coming out of it. Oh, look at this. Gives me +5. Okay, so this is a good opportunity to show off the strategic resource. It's actually my first one, so we're 65 years, give or take, into the game. Because of the strategic resources are far more rare. I believe I only got. I'll show you the sector system after that, because I've got a local resource that we can kind of show off that used to be strategic. So strategic resource. Once I click down this UI, it says that it gives me an empire-wide +5 habitability. Now, if, let's say, I was able to build up another 1,000 credits, it would, and if I bought another one, I'd be able to trade that, and I can't imagine that, I do imagine I would be able to get a really, really good deal. Trying to trade that off. Another thing I wanted to do, because I haven't really touched on it too much lately, is show off the sectors. Now, I really wish I had some great things to say about the AI when it comes to the sectors. Now, we did, of course, show off initially in one of the very first videos that you can manage, pardon me, you can actually customize what your sector can do, what's going to focus on. So it's researched on focus. We've gone through all of these different options, but you can see here that there are quite a few of them to really tailor make exactly what it is that you want. The problem I find is if I go onto this planet, everything here looks good, right? I've got, everything's been upgraded. It looks like he's upgrading his proper science bay to the completion level. It looks like, but here's another thing. He hasn't built a farm here. So he's got 3,000 credits. And I mean, I guess you could say he's going to wait for the pop here to actually grow into it before doing it. But it's just, why not throw it on the precursor? Because he doesn't get he won't get an employment penalty because it already has a bonus of food here. But if I go back to the other planet, you can see here that I've got unemployed pops. I've got pops here that are not doing anything. They're just working a specific tile and they're not building anything. But if I go back to here, I've got a resource base of 3,400 minerals, not to mention, a huge surplus of energy credits. So it's frustrating because they said that they work on the AI for the sector system. I'm sure that it did because I have noticed it is better. But when you sit back and you go, hey, look, I've got a pop here sitting on, +7 minerals. But he hasn't, nothing's being built, right? It's frustrating because there's no reason why this entire planet shouldn't be absolutely teeming with industry and infrastructure, and unfortunately it's just not. So I guess it is still a work in progress. Now, because we were talking a little bit about strategic resources, it's a good chance to talk about the difference between strategic and local resources, because right here you can see that I've got a Berythian stone, which used to be a strategic resource. It means that you could have collected it from space and then used it on any one of the planets that you wanted. Now it's a local resource, which means it pops right down, and as it pops right down, you build a specific type of power hub there, the Berythian power plant, and it'll give you a +10 energy credits. That's a huge bonus. So of course it's giving me, +12 energy credits, which is huge. Now that being said, they did build that. The AI did build that, so I'm glad that they were able to identify building the proper thing onto a local resource. It's just frustrating that me personally, if I wanted to take this planet of Zerontian Prime, and I'd still be able to do it more efficiently. So it was a gripe. It looks like it hasn't been fully fleshed out yet. I just want to make sure that it's not something on my end that I'm doing wrong, but yeah, that planet should be absolutely teeming with infrastructure, and unfortunately it's just not. So, that being said, Sector AI might be one of those beasts that we work on, or that Paradox Interactive works on for the foreseeable future. Okay, so now that I've bumped you, looks like we got something going on here. Unemployed, inactive buildings. Yeah, one of my planets here, everybody decided to go to it all at once. I always love this. When you got a high migration axis, it looks like I've got a starving planet here. It's because I cannot... 6 pops moved here all at the exact same time, and you can still see I'm trying to build up enough infrastructure to get it done. There we go. That's 2. Now you're only starving by a little bit. Now, as soon as they get here, of course, they're ticked off because guess what? They're starving, so then they migrate out of there, so it's a bit of a pain in the bottom, but we'll work with that. Okay, so kind of the state of the galaxy and some of the features to show off here. We've got quite a bit of different contacts with different races. Nobody's in a galactic war, but I was kind of hoping that we'd see something a little bit extensive coming. You can see here a lot of ships are passing in and out of sectors. It looks like they're going to be making a move pretty quick, which is always good news. I like watching wars from afar. My advice to anybody who's watching this right now is that if you're interested to see how two sides are doing, pay your a good price to see how the AI is going to be battling against some of their neighbors. It's always good to have. You can even see this fleet size here. It's got 21 corvettes, 17 destroyers, and 1 cruiser. That's, I'm guessing, a pretty optimal fleet assembly. Okay, old gods. Shrine to the precipitant. Jeez, I'm tired. Sorry, guys. Science officer has reported back at the NCC Righteous findings of the precipitant shrine. They recognize that early text of the same logographic script has laid in walls heavily distorted by the layers of translucent lacquer. Initial attempts of unscrambling the text rely on the raw processing power of the computers to reconstruct text from plain images. Proved fruitless, as it was too simple to distorted in place an unknown linguistic family tree. Next, the crew attempted bombarding the lacquer with a light varying wavelengths and intensity, but no beneficial reaction was observed. Apparently considered physically separate lacquer from an unlaid text, but realized that strange glyphs would doubtlessly have been made mishappen to begin with, only to assume that their proper shape when viewed correctly through the lens of the lacquer. Science officer was about to call the mission a failure when, looking up as they irritably paced along the edges of the circular space, they realized that discrete lines of cohesive text were momentarily forming before their eyes, melting away only to be replaced with new lines. Not long after they had the ceiling, walls, and floored imagery in a spiral pattern. Text from other shrines should have helped us piece this together. Oh, fascinating. Okay, so the complete doctrine of the gods for what has been recovered text is regarding as a fairy tale scraps upon Yolan religious has been founded. It is as shocking revelatory as it is revolutionary. Okay, I do remember this quest line before, actually. It wasn't this in depth though. It might be this in depth because my edict or my ethic is spiritually based. Wow, 350. That would actually be. What am I researching right now? Ooh, I'm researching Psy Warriors. So why not? Don't really need the influence. Yeah, 350 is good. Okay, everybody, so I'm kind of just giving you a brief update. I wanted to show you off kind of the state of the galaxy where I'm at right now at the year 2265. I'm going to, we've got obviously a small conflict up here where you can see several ships, and the curators are able to give you some really good strategic resources that can give you some great Empire-wide bonuses. I think what we're going to do here is, I think I'm going to start my fleet and getting myself prepared for a fight with the Xol-Cal. Xol-Cal has been pressing into my borders. I think what we might do is we might just humiliate them, force them to do open borders. We may even see if I can get them to liberate Delta Bovanus, because if I could liberate that and then become friends with them, I'll have a permanent segue in between my two different areas of space right here. So that's kind of what we're gonna go looking or moving forward. Now this is just the assumption here that nothing crazy happens in the meantime. Like I don't know, I'm still waiting on the Fallen to become awakened because that's something that I'm chomping at the bit to see myself. So guys, this has been ArmyP for ExploreManate.net. I'm going to advance forward a little bit for the next video, and you're going to be looking at some pretty deep combat, Empire-wide and Federation-wide, as we start to prepare to take it to the Jakal. So I hope to see you guys on the next episode.